Hi guys, this is Omer from MMOs.com doing a quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements of the week ending December 18th, 2017. This is episode number 126 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week is from Bluehole Studios regarding Ascent Infinite Realm, or just AIR for short. This relatively newly revealed MMORPG is set to launch sometime in the first half of 2018, according to data posted on GamesPress, a website that connects game companies with gaming websites. Interesting enough though, the information posted on GamesPress suggests that Kakao Games will be the ones launching AIR, so it's possible that the English version will be launching in the first half of 2018. While this is what the data on GamesPress suggests, I don't think that's quite possible, and it's not going to happen that quickly. According to Ascent Infinite Realms developers themselves, beta testing will begin for the game in South Korea in the first quarter of 2018. So going from a beta test in Korea to an English release in a mere 3 to 4 months seems like a stretch, but not impossible. Regardless, I think AIR will be launching in English sometime in 2018 for sure, but that's just my guess. Next up, Final Fantasy XIV previewed patch 4.2 during the game's letter from the producer this week, and boy, there's a lot to look forward to. Patch 4.2 for Final Fantasy is scheduled to release in late January 2018, and will add new main story quests and side quests as usual, but it will also add 2 new dungeons, a new trial, and most importantly, at least for me, a brand new raid tier called Omega Sigma Scape. There's also a lot of quality of life changes coming this patch, including an increased item stack size, so no more carrying around 5 stacks of 99 food or potions. Instead, they'll be stackable up to 999. It's a small change, but a welcome one. There's also a new glamour system coming out, which has streamlined the entire glamour process. There's definitely a lot to look forward to, and I'm looking forward to it. Next, Tryon Worlds was at the center of a bit of drama this week after releasing new $100 loot boxes in Rift. These new $100 loot boxes were the only way to obtain one of 40 premium mounts in the game. As you probably guessed, there was a tremendous amount of outrage on the internet. I have no idea what they were thinking, releasing a $100 loot box after the controversy with Star Wars Battlefront 2 just kind of exploded and people are still angry over loot boxes. If they wanted to go this route, they should have at least waited a bit longer. Things got so bad actually that after they released a $100 loot box, players that were linking to a Jim Sterling video criticizing the $100 loot box were getting banned on the game's forums. But they quickly retracted and they backpedaled, and now they actually removed the $100 loot box, so I guess we did it Reddit, at least for now. And speaking of MMO drama, Crytek, the company behind CryEngine, sued Star Citizen's developer Cloud Imperium Games this week for breach of contract and copyright infringement. Apparently, Cloud Imperium Games only had a license to make one game with CryEngine, which was supposed to be Star Citizen, but they decided to make a second game, Squadron 42, without a license. In addition, Crytek alleges that Star Citizen removed the CryEngine logo / splash screen from Star Citizen, which breaches their license terms. The second complaint is extremely odd because there's proof that Star Citizen actually did remove the Crytek logo from their game, and if they wanted to remove the logo, they could have paid for a more expensive license of the engine that allows the logo to be removed illegally. Clearly, they couldn't raise enough money to pay for that more expensive license. It is worth mentioning though that Star Citizen moved over to Amazon's Lumberyard last year, so they're no longer using CryEngine, but the lawsuit is still happening, and it will be interesting because a lot of documents will be made public when this goes to court, because companies have to file these documents publicly in court records, so it should be a bit of a fiesta. I don't know about you, but my popcorn is already in the microwave. Next, some pretty big news from Monster Hunter World fans. Open beta for the game is scheduled for December 22nd and will run until December 26th. Open beta is for the PlayStation 4 version of the game only, and players can begin preloading the beta client starting tomorrow, December 18th. The game will launch worldwide on PS4 and Xbox One on January 26, 2018, and a PC version is still set to follow at a later date. Unfortunately, we have no news on the PC version of the game, and haven't really heard much about it since Monster Hunter World was first revealed. I am personally looking forward to play the PC version, and based on what I've seen for the console version, the game looks pretty hype so far, but I do want to play it on PC. Next up, a small bit of news for the 2003 MMORPG Redstone. The game is changing publishers from Game & Game over to its developer LNK Logic. This isn't really big news, as I doubt there are too many Redstone players still out there. What I found more interesting about this announcement is that LNK Logic released some stats about Redstone. The game peaked in popularity in 2005 after reaching 40,000 concurrent users, and was able to earn a whopping $2.7 million a month during this same time period. While there's no chance the game earns that kind of money today, it's still worth knowing that Redstone has been running continuously for a long time now. It's impressive to see a 2003 MMORPG still around today, especially when so many of them have shut down. Moving right along, we have a new action MMORPG that just launched this last week called Wildbuster Heroes of Titan. The game entered Steam Early Access this week, but unfortunately is a buy-to-play MMO. It can be purchased for $19.99, which is 20% off its base price. The core gameplay is a lot like Master X Master's PvE game modes, except with some more persistent MMORPG elements. Probably the best way to look at this game is as a mix of Master X Master and any of those instance dungeon persistent hub style games like DFO or Closers. I already did a first look for this one in beta, and while the gameplay is decent, it's going to be a tough sell as a buy-to-play title. In fact, it's already a tough sell, as it's only hitting about 137 players online during peak hours, and it's averaging about 60 to 70 players online at any given time according to Steam charts. This needs to be free to play in my opinion to have a chance, but who knows, maybe it'll bounce back later, but I definitely think it has to be free to play. Up next, ArcheAge launched its Maelstrom update this week after having delayed it from its previous release date, which was back in December 6th. To celebrate the update itself, anyone under level 50 gets a free Maelstrom beginner bundle, which includes free level-dependent gear sets, as well as a 7-day mount or battle pet. The update itself includes a revamped gem system, a new open-world raid finder, crafting system updates, and a new 20-man naval PvP mode called Bloodsalt Bay. We talked about this in the past, but it's finally live right now on the ArcheAge servers. Next up, Darkfall New Dawn announced their release date, which is January 26, 2018. This one is a bit of an oddball though, as Darkfall New Dawn is a remake of a 2009 MMORPG called Darkfall, and will not be free to play. In fact, it'll be subscription based. On top of that, it'll be competing with a second reboot of Darkfall called Darkfall Rise of Aegon. The game itself though is quite unique. It's a hardcore full loop PvP MMORPG that appeals to fans of older hardcore titles like Ultima Online. While I think the game is kind of cool, I don't think there's enough room in the market for literally 2 reboots of the same old school game. Plus, there isn't a giant audience for these hardcore full loop games. I mean, look at Albion Online, the player base has been falling, and these hardcore games rarely take off. But who knows, maybe this one will take off. We'll have to wait and see. Up next, big news for Shroud the Avatar fans. After 4 years of development and early access, the Fantasy Sandbox MMORPG announced a release date. The game is set to release on March 27th, 2018. Another interesting announcement is that Shroud the Avatar is making its on-again, off-again free trial system permanent. Starting December 20th, anyone can play the game's free trial permanently, but will be restricted to skill cap level 50. This makes a lot of sense actually. They were doing this free trial basically every other week or every other month anyway, so a permanent free trial just makes a lot more sense. And while the game is launching on March 27th, 2018, it doesn't mean it's the end of the development. There's actually a lot more work to do, and I expect there'll be a lot more content to be added in Shroud the Avatar in the months and years to follow. Next up, a small update from Mabinogi. Nexon launched the latest update to its 2004 MMORPG this week, which introduced a new talent, the Chain Slash, as well as a new Chain Blade weapon. There's also a new mission called Baltane, which is great for leveling between 60 to 99. While Mabinogi is definitely an oldie, it's great to see Nexon continue to give it some love. The game's player base is fairly small though on Steam, clocking in at 409 average concurrent users, but that's only on Steam. It may have a larger player base on Nexon's own launcher. But yeah, a new update to Mabinogi is now live. Up next, the 4v4 action MOBA Hyper Universe Online is set to launch on December 20th and is free to play until launch day. To celebrate its upcoming launch, the game's Founders Packs are on sale for one last time for 50% off. It can be purchased for $7.99. In addition to the game's launch, Hyper Universe also released its patch 3.8 this last week, which introduced the game's ranked mode, as well as kicked off its Season 0 ladder. Hyper Universe has had a bit of a tough early access period. It never managed to quite grab an audience, but that shouldn't be too surprising though, as it opted to go with the whole early access costs money but launches free model, which makes zero sense for a MOBA. Why would anyone pay to play a MOBA when the biggest MOBAs are all free? Perhaps Hyper Universe will see better days after it launches later this week as a free-to-play game though. Next up, EverQuest launched its 24th expansion titled Ring of Scale this week, and yes, you heard that properly. It's the 24th expansion. EverQuest originally launched back in 1999 and has been running continuously since. The new Ring of Scale expansion raised the game's level cap to 110, adds 6 new zones to explore, 9 new raids, new missions, and much more. While EverQuest can be played for free, the new expansions do need to be purchased. The expansion Standard Edition is available for $34.99 and includes all previous expansions. So no, you don't need to go out there and buy 24 expansion packs just to start playing EverQuest, just the most recent one if you want all the content. But if you want to see what EverQuest is all about, you can play it for free. Up next, while our dreams of Sword Art Online style virtual reality are far from being realized, OrbusVR launched this last week and is one of the first virtual reality MMORPGs out there. The game is available for Oculus Rift and HTC Vive for $39.99. While I haven't played it myself, I did watch one of my friends stream it for a few hours and it looks really interesting. And it's actually attracting a sizable player base, at least as far as a VR game goes. The game gets about 150 or so players online during peak hours, which again for a VR game is surprisingly good. If you like what you see and you have a VR device, check it out. Next up, we have yet another entry into the MOBA market. This time it's a third-person sci-fi MOBA called The Day Online, and it's being developed by the South Korean game company Reloaded Studios. The game just entered closed beta testing in South Korea, and we don't even know if it's going to be coming out to the West, but given the tepid response to Hyper Universe so far, it's looking like a no, but we'll have to wait and see. It kind of looks like Smite or Paragon, so at least it's a bit different in that regards. I definitely didn't want to see yet another League of Legends or Dota clone. At least the action element might make it slightly different. Next up, a new MMORPG called Global Adventures is set to be launching into closed beta on December 29th, 2017, and it'll be published by Suba Games. It's a game I actually didn't even hear about until Suba Games reached out to us and asked us to give away closed beta keys for it. It's apparently a mix of Diablo and Metal Slug, and you can see what the game is about in the video in the background. But closed beta is set to begin on Steam on December 29th, and there are keys on MMOs.com if you want to try this one out. The next and last bit of news this week comes from Daybreak Games, and they seem to be working on a brand new MMO according to various new job postings on their website. They're looking for a combat designer with, quote, action and MMO game development experience to help quote, design and document multiplayer RPG action-based game systems, end quote. They're also looking for a senior game designer with familiarity of core mechanics for first-person and third-person titles. And while these games are currently unannounced, it looks like they are working on a brand new game, or at least a set of games, and it should be interesting when they're announced. And that's it for MMO News this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. And apologies for last week's podcast. My brother's power actually went out 20 minutes before we were supposed to start, and it didn't come back on until well after the podcast. But tomorrow we should be A-okay. I'll see you guys then.